track, getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome back to Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Racing on SMB. JR Gregory here with you on the call. Beside me in the commentary booth, my partner Kennen Miller and tonight's producer Marty Czekala. As 2025 Season 3 crosses the halfway point, Week 7 takes us to Laguna Seca. This iconic circuit opened in 1957 on the Monterey Peninsula in the Bay Area of California. Current host to IndyCar, IMSA, and Moto America. Past host to World Superbikes, numerous Rennsport reunions for you Porsche heads, and a full slate of track days and racing schools. To tonight's configuration: 2.2 miles, 11 corners, 180 feet of elevation change, 60 of that at the corkscrew, and our race lap record is a 108.4 set by Alex Blue back in 2024 in a DW12 IndyCar. And Kennen, pretty big contrast here between the Indy road course from last week and this week's venue here on the Monterey Peninsula. So what are the keys to success here at Laguna Seca?
Yeah, absolutely, JR. We're kind of back to a what many would consider a proper natural road course compared to somewhat of a roval being inside of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But it's a beautiful racetrack, 11 turns, just gorgeous scenery all around, and it's been an absolutely perfect day. We should have perfect weather for the race. It's low humidity, 69 degrees, a little bit of a strong wind, 12 miles an hour, but think these Formula 4 cars will be able to handle all that aerodynamically without much issues. So it's going to be an interesting race. Points leader isn't here today, so it's a good opportunity for everybody in the field to maybe make up a little bit into the point standings going into next week. And I think we've got a lot to look forward to tonight.
Yeah, 2 right on those points, and there's kind of a clog at the top. And we'll go ahead and Marty's going to throw up our season standings for you right now, and that is 6 out of 12 rounds. And you see Josh Leslie at the top, pretty solid lead with 131, Lloyd Conway and Aaron Van Wagner. And Kennen, those in that top group, Leslie has 5 podiums and 3 wins. Conway 5 podiums also with 1 win. Van Wagner with 3 podiums, and you see Novice there in P6 has got 2 podiums. But anyway, it's Leslie from Conway, Van Wagner, Duvall, and Meyer is your top 5. Then Novice, Swanbeck, Guyton, Glasser, and Vase will round out your top 10, and you see the rest of our field there. But yeah, Leslie's absence is going to be an opportunity, especially for Conway. And so far in practice, Conway putting down some heaters. He's got about a 1-second lead in practice at this point from Novice. So Conway looking solid out here. And, you know, I had a chance to get out here a little bit earlier, Kennen, and this car track combination, just fantastic. This F4 eats up Laguna Seca. There are a couple of spots, though. We talk about it being a momentum car, and there are a couple of critical spots where you really have to hit it right, not over slow, keep your speed up, and get that timing on the throttle. And we're going to take a ride here in a minute. We're going to find a car to ride along with. And here's Swanbeck, and here's one of those spots you can't overslow for turn 6. These cars don't have a lot of power to pull you up the hill, so you got to commit to that blind apex. Get on the power before you cross the apex. You got to hammer the throttle. Very tough to do, and kind of takes muscle memory. As I said, the apex kind of hidden over a rise there on that tricky turn 6. Here's another place where you tempted to overslow. Got to hit this pretty hard top of 4th gear. And this one here, Kennen, I'll tell you, this turn 11 onto the front straight, these F4 cars, even though they're going slow and in second, they can get around that corner pretty quick. So you got to get a good exit there, get the power down early, and it's all a question of timing. I'm sure we'll see a couple of spins there, but that's kind of the story of this track, is not to overslow on the fast corners and to get your timing down with that throttle application out of the slower ones.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a really actually nice final corner, and going into turn 1 by Dan Swanbeck, that was a very nice and clean, getting a little bit loose, but you kind of do have to utilize sliding the car to get through many of the corners. I know we talk about it as kind of racing 101, but the final corner is still just the most crucial corner of the entire track, just because it is the longest straightaway. The kink we'll see a lot of action at, because you really just have to have full commitment. You can't halfway commit and think the car is going to go through. When you decide to turn, you have to take the opportunity. So there's all sorts of places that we'll see cars run off wide. They'll definitely chew up some of the sand. I think it does go well to note that pretty much the entire field, this is their home track, and most of them actually were all together with the Sim Racers group on Sunday for the IndyCar racing this last weekend. So they're pretty familiar. I know they were just out there a couple of days ago studying the lines with their own eyes. So I think we've got a pretty heated contestment here. And as you see, most of the drivers all in the 123s. It's a very close field, 1st through 10th.
Yeah, really good point there. The Sim Racers Group facility, of course, east side of San Jose, California. So hop on the 101 South a little bit, hang a right on 58, that Monterey Salinas Highway, and you're at Laguna Seca in a jiff. So, man, oh man, I couldn't hold down a job if I lived in San Jose and had this racetrack that close to me. Fantastic venue, yeah, we're going to see some good racing from a lot of these folks on their home track tonight. As practice winds down here, about a minute left in practice, then we're going to jump into a 15-minute open qualifying session. And if you haven't been with us before, this is not solo qualifying that you see in some events. It is open qualifying. So all these drivers will go out together just as they would in real life. They're not going to clear the track for you so you can have a solo qualifying. So some strategy will play into that. And I'll tell you, Kennen, we've talked a few times about the decision to take tires during this 15-minute session because it costs you your in lap, it costs you your out lap, and a lap probably to get the tires hot. And I'll tell you, based on my practice here earlier, I'm going to say that it is worth it to go in at least once. The sweet lap on these things is about the second lap after your out lap, and then they start to fall off. So if I was these drivers, I would consider taking tires about halfway through this qualifying session. We haven't really been seeing them do it a lot, but I'll tell you my experience here just for a brief session before the broadcast, it is worth it.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely the right call to probably have to give a couple runs on fresh tires. Maybe you can squeeze a third good run in there. I would think your most optimal lap time is maybe the second lap in a run on fresh tires. But you could just see through everybody we were just watching the way the car really pulls forces through the whole final set, especially the corkscrew. It's a lot of sliding you put on the tires. If you want to get the best lap time, you're probably going to see quite a bit of fall off. And we'll see that through the race too. There won't be an opportunity to change tires. So as we get late in the run, I think you'll probably see some guys maybe that are middle pack be able to make a fight up front.
Yeah, too right. And anybody who is watching this, who is a GT3 driver primarily, as I am, it's kind of interesting driving these little Formula cars. They really run, as Kennen was saying, at some pretty significant slip angles. So if you aren't kind of in a nice four-wheel drift, you're probably not going fast enough, and you got to have confidence that the thing's going to hang on. And of course, that is weighed against tire wear, and we have seen tire wear become an issue. These races only 20 minutes long, but if you flog the hell out of these things for that entire 20 minutes, your tires are going to go off toward the end. And on this course, I sometimes like to predict which tires are most vulnerable, and I'm going to say it's pretty even here. There's going to be some long understeery sections, and there's going to be some slow sections where you're putting on the power and maybe getting a little loose in the back end. So we'll keep an eye on that for you, but tire wear has definitely been a thing so far this season.
Yeah, this car certainly, and especially with this track combination, it will test many different disciplines of the race car driver as well as the race car and kind of how it's built. They don't get as much aerodynamic grip as you would think. It is very much mechanically based, and as we see Jose Navas starting his hot lap, he's going through, and you can't oversteer the car. That turn 1 and 2 is very easy to lose the rear end. This turn 3, you just kind of start to see the off camber, so it just puts the car through so much. It's just such a mix of fast speeds, slow speeds, and really if you don't have that commitment through probably 90% of the corners at this racetrack, it will spit you right out into the sand, costing you time.
Yeah, it absolutely will. And you talked about the little slides that you see under power sometimes. And these cars, it's 160 horsepower 4-cylinder, and just a little bit of wheel spin and a tiny wiggle coming out of these corners will cost you a lot. It can cost you half a second, just a little bobble like that. So it's very, very important to be patient on the power. We're taking a look now at that is Navas now coming down from the corkscrew, and we're expecting him to be near the top of the grid when these times start coming in, and we should be seeing some times here very shortly. And
I'm interested.
Conway,
I don't think he's going to get it to count
right about now.
Apologies there. I don't think Navas is actually going to get that lap to count. I think it went a little too wide there coming through the last part of the track.
Yeah, and our car's coming through, and there is Conway. Oh my goodness, early and often is Conway with a 122.7, and on his first timed lap, that would have been good for P1 in the practice session that we just had. So Conway, Kennen, looking very strong here early.
Yeah, he had an absolutely blazing lap during practice, a 122.511. Over a full second quicker than second place Jacob Guyton in that practice session. So he's kind of already hit the hammer early that he's going to take advantage of this race. The points leader isn't here. I want to say after we get through next week, we'll start seeing the points with the drop weeks in effect. And this is a good opportunity with Joshua Leslie unavailable to race today to get a little makeup on points and make sure you finish first. We did see Conway did have a decent race last week at Indianapolis, but did fight through a lot of trouble. And we did see also Dan Swanbeck was quite a strong racer until his unfortunate incident about halfway through the race. So there's definitely some people that I think will give a fight. But right now, Lloyd Conway is just absolutely walking away with his qualifying time. He's in a field of his own.
Yeah, Conway flying. You mentioned Swanbeck. He has won one this season, I believe. Oh, no, he hasn't, but he does have a podium. So the podium kind of dominated by Conway and Leslie. Van Wagner's got a couple. Novice has a couple. In Meyer, Swanbeck, and Duvall have all reached the podium in the first 6 races. And taking a look back now at Conway, as we watch him come down the hill into Andretti hairpin, actually turn 2. He'll jump over to Swanbeck now, and you see him, little trail break there, coming down, approaching the pit entry there. And man, these cars are such a blast, Kennen. Really good at rotating with the brakes. And not that I'm a huge Andretti fan, but he once wisely said that people don't understand the brake is not to slow the car down, it's to turn the car. And these F4 cars make that the truth for sure. And that lap, good for third for Swanbeck. And there is that turn 11. You got to hammer that throttle early, but not too early. And if you do it too early, you loop it just like you saw there.
Yeah, we saw Michael Hunt there get it a little too strong, wanting to come out of the final corner. And now I see Rudy Samudio getting out of the final corner. It's 10th place. We'll see if he can improve his time. A little bit off pace there the first hot lap, but he will improve the time slightly at 1:31.308. That will keep him 11th on the board. And I believe now we're looking at Guyton getting ready to come across the line. So we're starting to see people try and get the tires warm, see if they can put any kind of better lap down. Most people are pretty much sitting about where they ran in practice. So I know they're all really driving it at the limit. Ryan Chia going into 7th place, and Lloyd Conway just puts down an even faster lap, a 1:22.659. So even Lloyd Conway is not done making sure he is solidified at the top of this qualifying board.
Yeah, and shout out to Guyton, and we'll show you that car again tonight before this one's over, but that was a pretty sweet livery on that car. We'll take a look at Cy Nathan there in the 91, and that lap is out, and I think there's a little hot dog stand maybe right there underneath the RV parking. Swanbeck looks like he put in a heater here and has jumped back up to second. So right now up top, it is Conway from Swanbeck, from Guyton, from Duvall, from Glasser as your top 5, and Conway still sitting comfortably with an 8/10 lead, and there's Swanbeck with a little wiggle there out of turn 4.
Yeah, I'm somewhat surprised, and we'll look at Greg Meyer coming off. Got a little bit of a car behind him, whether that'll help him. And you just see the slides. They just really love to drift that corner. I think that it's probably most of the driver's favorite corner. Coming back, we'll see if he can best and catch 4/10 to get second, or maybe 1.2 seconds to take first. I don't know. Seems like an impossible feat. And he does get back up to second, a 1:23.4. They're still searching for about 8/10. And Lloyd Conway, it looks like, puts another faster time right around a 1:22.652. So he is really just that fast. It's really got my mind blown. I can't believe it, what we're seeing right now in qualifying.
Yeah, he's absolutely cooking. Obviously, a good track and a good track car combo for Conway here, as easily sitting in pole right now by almost 8/10. We usually see a little bit of a clog up top among the top 2 or 3 or 4 cars, but right now Conway is the class of the field, has run away with it. The next closest competitor is Guyton, 8/10 behind. Swanbeck sniffing all around behind Guyton. Looks like he is in the pits right now, might be trying out some new tires. We are just over the halfway point in this session, so anybody wanting to try new shoes, now might be the time to jump in. And as Kennen said, you could probably put down qualifying with 3 sets if you were really determined to do so. Oh my goodness. And Conway elbows out in qualifying and not satisfied with his mere 8/10 lead, wants to take some more time off of that as he flogs it down the hill.
Yeah, they're all, I think, pushing the car to the absolute limit, but Lloyd Conway has just got a little better feel for this track combo. He just knows exactly what he's doing. I don't know, maybe he's spending a few extra days at the Sim Racers Group facility, getting more laps in, practicing, preparing. But he is just classing the field right now in this qualifying session. Well, we really have to be curious on if anybody's able to give him a fight in the race, because that is really going to set him up with a nice, comfortable pace and manage a lead.
Yeah, it looks like we have had a couple folks take tires. There's Vase on an out lap there you see on our timing tower. Dan Clark on an out lap. And let's see if Swanbeck can make something happen here. And something to keep in mind, it's not just the fresh rubber, but you're burning fuel off as the session wears on. So that's another good reason to try some new rubber. And let's ride along with Swanbeck here. Now he comes down into turn 2 here. The Andretti hairpin runs a little wide of that apex, and see what he does here in 3 and 4. A little trail braking right here, and I'll tell you, this is one of my favorite corners right here. If you hit this one perfectly, just the slightest lift to get the car to rotate, and wah wah, sad trombones for Swanbeck. That lap is over, but 5 minutes remaining, Kennen. He's got plenty of time to take a breath, get himself composed, get a reset, and put down a fast lap on those new tires.
Yeah, he's just right on the limit, and kind of like you talked about with that turn 3-4 section, you've really got to get the car all the way down to the apex. Laguna Seca does a lot of driver training and track days and all, and you can kind of see on the inside of the curbs there's a little bit of red curving, and that's generally where a car's wanting to get to for an apex. But the quickest way around, you've got to get all the way there and kiss that red curb. Just use as much of the width of the track as you can. If you don't, you see you run wide, you're just carrying so much speed, there's nothing you can do to pull the car back right.
Yeah, and absolutely right about those anti-cut curbs. You want to snuggle up to him a little bit, maybe give him a little kiss, but you don't want to take it any further than that, or you're going to meet their daddy, and that is not going to be a good experience. These F4 cars do not like having wheels off the ground, banging over those big anti-cut curves. And we're watching Novice now as he is approaching the corkscrew 60-foot drop, and takes a shortcut there, gets a little camera shy, and that will end Novice's lap. We'll jump back to Conway now in the 77 car. So far his best of 122.65. I think I saw maybe a 0.3 or 0.4 out of him in practice. He's still got some time in him, but so far looking untouchable, as that 0.8 gap that he attained earlier is still the case.
Yeah, he's very much got control of the field right now. 123.028 that last time by. I think at this point Conway is kind of just in the middle of a 15-minute practice session. I don't know if he's pitted at all to get tires or even really had much of an issue. As you can see, he gets a little wide there and kind of pushes Michael Hunt off the track. So a little interesting race we have going on while everybody's trying to do hot laps, and Novice cutting in between. So that was kind of interesting there. See a lot of different drivers starting to finish up their laps. Those Swanbeck's wide, so there goes another lap from him. Time is kind of running down. With 3 minutes, you're pretty much got a minute to be able to leave pit lane and get another lap going. We see lots of several different groups there on the track map, so see if anybody does pit to try and do one more. I think most everybody's going to ride it out and just hope they can hit a fast, clean lap.
Yeah, and Swanbeck, we saw him rack up a couple of off tracks there, a critical juncture. He was light on fuel with fresh tires and had an opportunity to maybe take a crack at Conway, and has not cashed in on that opportunity. I don't think he has improved. Well, actually, his last lap was his fast lap, 123.497, but that just might be the last lap that was scored prior to his pit stop. So no help there for Swanbeck, as we see Dan Clark over-rotating there in that Andretti hairpin. That's another spot where you want to hammer the throttle early, but not too early. And there's the lucky number 13 NASA car of Adam Duvall coming through turn 11, putting the hammer down and making a run up that pit straight. See if he's able to improve his lot. He'll need about 4/10 to move up out of his current position of P5. And nope, that is a negative for him. So things solidifying here with qualifying winding down. It sure is looking like Conway is going to start this one from the pole.
Yeah, at this point, everybody coming across the line will be on their final lap. A lot of cars coming through the 3 and 4 section now, so we'll have to see. I haven't seen a whole lot at the end of this session where anybody's really improved their times. Swanbeck comes across. He's still a little bit slower than his best, so Seems like these cars have kind of gotten exhausted. Maybe the track's gotten a little bit too hot with everybody out there running hot laps right now, that it's just lost a little bit of its speed. And Lloyd Conway, he puts down 5 actual timed laps, it looks like, in qualifying, and his third one was the fastest by quite a good margin at this point. So here's the final push for everybody. See if anybody can find that little extra 8/10 to get up to the front.
Yeah, and here's Cy Nathan in the 91. He's going to sneak across that start-finish line before the timer reaches 0. So his final lap here is going to count. And taking a look at Novice as well, as he's trying to beat the clock to the flag stand here. Looks like he is going to get another crack at it as well. So of the front runners, looks like Novice probably has... Looks like Novice probably has the best crack to move up, and actually he just did improve his lot in life, passing Duvall and displacing him out of P5. Novice now sitting in P5. Conway and Guyton have finished. So Glasser, Gia, Huynh, and Vase have all parked it. So just a couple of competitors here. Will that 93 car, just maybe that 93 of Embriette Hyde managed to cross the line, and we'll give her another lap. And have to see what is going on here. Not a lot of cars left as we wind down. Yeah, this is going to be a good one, Kennen. And I got to say, this F4 series was a little bit of mayhem. Last year, they split it up into our great F3 series, which you can see here tomorrow night on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and this one. And the quality of racing is just outstanding. And, you know, these guys spend a lot of time together, and gals, they support each other, help each other get faster, help each other get better. And it really shows when we get together for these broadcast races here on SMB.
Yeah, absolutely. Lloyd Conway's obviously kind of ran away with the pole, but you can just see what kind of race we're looking to get ourselves ready with. Almost second place through 12th, all be right together come race time, and it'll certainly be an interesting start. Everybody getting that standing start, rushing down into turn 1. It's going to be a real good opportunity to kind of set up your track position for the rest of the race. This track does have some good passing areas, but like we've seen, it's very difficult to run wide even when you're running by yourself. So not everywhere is the most recommended passing area. And I think we've got our final cars working to come and take the checkered flag. Dan Swan back third place right now, and he's pitting. So that will be everybody for qualifying.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Well, we're certainly going to see some dives in turn 2 there at the end of the straight, the Andretti hairpin, and we may see some pressure there at turn 11. May even see some pressure at the entry to the corkscrew. So people might feel brave there. To me, the key corner is turn 6. Very easy to blow that one. You got to hit it perfect and get on the power early. And if you don't, you can be a sitting duck at the top of that hill. So we may see some action up there. But expecting a good one here at Laguna Seca as qualifying winds down. We're going to have the starting grid for you in just a moment, and we'll get this one underway.
Yeah,
All right, and here is our grid. Conway, dominant in qualifying with that 122.6. Good for pole. He'll line up next to Jacob Guyton in P2. Behind them will be Swanbeck next to Greg Meyer. Jose Navas will line up next to Adam Duvall in row 3. Then it's Glasser and Ryan Chia. Tyler Hagan will line up next to Michael Huynh in row 5. Then it will be Vase next to Dan Clark in 11 and 12. Embriette Hyde will line up in P13 next to Nemo Alcazar. Cy Nathan will line up next to Rudy Samudio. Cotcher next to Jason Trantham in 17 and 18. And I am not out there, and Leslie not out there either. Actually, those final 4 cars not on the grid. We're going to start 16 cars here today. I flew right past that one. And I think I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, I wasn't here last week, but Alcazar, I think, is a new participant here. Kennen, you can correct me if that is wrong.
Yeah, Nemo Alcazar, a new member to the Sim Racers group. His first race was last week at Indianapolis. He had a pretty good run. A couple mistakes there around the middle part of the race put him a little bit in the back of the finishing order, but overall did a really nice job. I know everybody's really excited having him here for the Formula 4 League.
All righty, fantastic. Always great to see new faces out here for our broadcast. So as we wait for the clock to tick down, looks like iRacing is going to force our start here in about 25 seconds, I'm going to say. Conway, his pole position is going to give him the inside run into turn 2 for the first time. Of course, no traction control. Cold tires here coming off of a standing start. Not a ton of power on these things. It's not super difficult to get them off the line, but it can certainly be challenging to get them woed up when you're feeling the adrenaline entering that Andretti hairpin for the first time. So we will wait for the lights to come up. We should be underway here any moment now. And here we go. We are underway. Conway looking good off the line. It's Conway from Guyton from Swanbeck, and we're pretty much nose to tail right now, although Swanbeck is going to try the outside on Guyton now. 3 wide, and oh my goodness, what could possibly go wrong here? Contact, and Conway has fallen to P4 there somehow, and we will give you a replay of that, but right now it is Swanbeck from Meyer, from Jose Navas, and Conway, not the start that he wanted, and he's got some work to do.
Yeah, we see several cars here spun off the track, getting themselves back going. But Dan Swanbeck, we very highly noted it last week at Indianapolis. He was driving like a madman trying to win this race, and he is starting this race the same exact way. He really wants to win bad, and he is going 1,000% to do it. What a start by Dan Swanbeck. I'm surprised to see Conway falling into third. He's looking pretty good. He may make a pass going into the corkscrew on Navas. He certainly has the pace. But you've just got to make sure you minimize the mistakes. He did well with the contact to not have a spin or fall back even worse, but he certainly got himself a little task at hand to get back to the front.
Yeah, and you know Conway is fighting the red mist right now, and Navas just gives him the Olay and lets him through. So I was going to advise Conway take a breath and not push this one too hard, but Navas just let him right through. So as we begin lap 2 here at Swanbeck from Conway from Navas. Swanbeck, we will replay that start for you here in a minute once things settle, but Swanbeck up 2 positions, Navas up 2 as well. The big loser there, Guyton, who fell 5 positions out of P2 to currently running in P7. And we'll take a look and see what happened there. But it looked like a little maybe game of chicken here into turn 2. Kennen under braking, and Swanbeck, the winner. Watch him there. That is him in the number 7 car, the green car that the camera is on right now. And he must have stuck it inside of Conway here. And Conway just leaves him the slightest sliver. And oh my goodness. And there may be some discussion of that one. That was wheel banging, a little aggressive, and maybe he had space, maybe he didn't prior to that apex. But here we are riding with Swanbeck as he stuffs it down. Oh, get out of my way, Lloyd. And I'll tell you what, Kennen, Lloyd is going to be looking to get some skin back out of Swanbeck after that. And here's one more replay looking back out of Conway's car as Swanbeck stuffs it down the inside of the Andretti hairpin. And you're right, absolutely great catch by Conway. That could have been a lot worse for him.
Yeah, and I know when we get back to seeing Conway get up to the rear end of Dan Swanbeck, I'm sure he'll return the favor on the aggressiveness of racing. It, like I said previously, it has been noted Swanbeck feeling very confident with this car right now. We're getting into the season. You're seeing it from a lot of different drivers, and he's just itching to try and get that first win. I think he feels like he's got to do everything he can behind that wheel to make sure he finishes up front. And you just see the kind of aggressiveness and moves he's willing to make if that can get him to the lead. You see Conway is starting to finally make a move on him. Conway, as we've noted, also just by far has the fastest pace. We'll see he's just tracking right behind him. I know he's got to be smart here. He's got to set the move up. You just see the closing speed going into the corner. It's going to be game over, but we know Swanbeck's not going to let it down, and certainly not going to go away easy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of defense Swanbeck is willing to put on after we saw that move that some might call offensive down into the Andretti hairpin. But Conway reeling him in like Swanbeck pulling an anchor, more than a second difference in lap times on just that last lap. And Conway has got that gap down to 2/10. And Kennen, I'm going to say that if they come out of turn 11 with this kind of gap, this one is going to be over in the hairpin.
And you see Conway looks for it. He does kind of get the doors shut with Swanbeck coming in there, and actually hurts his momentum coming down the front stretch. So it'll be a little bit of a challenging move to get him in turn 1. Certainly worth noting, Swanbeck has found a little bit of pace. Conway certainly looking to be a little quicker at this stage, but they have both pulled away to a 4-second lead, and Conway is making sure he lets Swanbeck know he is right there, and I think this will be the move to take the lead back from him on the inside. Ooh. They nearly touch rear to front wheels there, and Swanbeck putting on a fight. He's going to prove that this will not be an easy pass. So Conway's going to have to make sure he makes a smart decision. You don't want to do anything where you risk spinning out. Both of these cars have actually now shown speed. It looks like Swanbeck is the challenger today.
Yeah, and Conway, you know, this is kind of deja vu all over again from, I want to say Fuji, or it wasn't Fuji, but I remember Conway kept showing his nose on the inside, peaking, and it cost him tires. And it looks like he's doing the same thing again here. And you called it, Kennen. That little peak inside of turn 11 completely blew his exit and allowed Swanbeck to stretch that gap back up to 0.4, and now he's going to try the inside of 10. Oh my goodness, maybe some contact there, a little wiggle from Conway, and Conway, Lloyd, brother, come on, take a breath. You're 5 minutes in, 15 to go, and that one almost ended in tears for both drivers potentially.
Oh, absolutely. I was expecting both of them to go off track there. We'll have to see if we can get a replay. I don't think they did actually touch tires, but quite an aggressive move. You could see Lloyd Conway was just fighting that car with everything he could with his hands swinging it left to right, and Swanbeck goes wide. So here comes Conway to take the outside of 3. We'll see if he can close the door. Swanbeck is going to stay right there with them. They're wheel by wheel going into 4, and Swanbeck may have the line here. Conway has gone a little wide. So he's going to have to resettle himself. He falls back about half a tenth there, or half a second. So Conway is really putting on a fight, and all the credit to Dan Swanbeck. He is making this the most difficult race for the lead ever, and he is making sure he is there as a racer. And this is quite a race to watch.
Yeah, the excellent stuff up front, and all those Swanbeck fans out there in the crowd, they're saying defense. And here is Novice now. He's got Greg Meyer all over him. Another bit of tight action up front. Looks like Adam Duvall just squeaked by Glasser. Looks like Glasser actually lost a second spot as Guyton got past him. We'll see what happened with Glasser, but he's lost a couple just in the last couple of corners. And looks like up front, look at that interval again. And now hang on, that is Novice and Meyer again, and Novice leaving something on the table. You got to use that entire exit, get all the way out there, and looks like Conway is going to have a run. Is he going to try the outside of turn 2 here? It is doable, or maybe try a little switchback. He's getting a good drive out of this one. Is he going to try to stick his nose inside of turn 3 again here? And no, he's going to take a breath here, follow, and just get behind and follow through turn 3 and turn 4. But turn 5, Kennen, another possible place to stick it inside. But again, worried about Conway with all these head fakes hurting his tires, and he's going to try it again. Sticks it inside of turn 5. They'll be side by side up here into turn 6. This is hazardous. That cup curb on the inside of turn 6 can be disastrous. And Swanbeck again with the defense holds off Conway. 0.1 gap now. Conway getting frustrated. I can feel it. And almost washing wide out of the corkscrew. And if Conway doesn't get this pass done fairly soon, this one is going to end in tears. And there is Novice. That looks like contact. Novice and Meyer come together in the corkscrew, and this one is getting wild, Kennen.
Yeah, we've got action all over the track. Conway goes in. Swanbeck's going to try the crossover. He does get it. They're side by side going across the start-finish line. We're looking at just under 12 minutes to go in this race, and we are side by side for the lead. 4th place is spun off at the corkscrew with Contact and Greg Meyer. Looks like they maybe only lost a position out of that incident, and Swanbeck sticking it back inside. I think he's going to go into turn 3, the leader again.
And folks, kids at home, Conway has a full 1 second, and there is the pass. It is done into P3, into turn 3. Maybe now it's Swanbeck who is going to be sticking his nose inside of 4. But what I was going to say, Kennen, Conway has a full 1 second of pace. on Swanbeck here, but you don't have to let him go. You can make him earn it, and Swanbeck certainly did there.
Yeah, he certainly did, and he certainly hasn't given up the fight. He's right on there, and I think he's maybe found a little more speed being up front, having a race in this style compared to his qualifying time. Oh, you see him, the corkscrew. He's going to go for it. He's going to absolutely test the brakes. It's an interesting move. He's going to run wide. Conway able to get in there barely. I think he may have missed a gear on the downshift. But let's go back and look at Novice. He had lost it into the corkscrew. He does enter by himself and just a little too hot. The rear goes. Greg Meyer with a wild ride. You see the tire kicking him up there, and thankfully both kind of got back going pretty quickly there. As we know, Sim Racers Group Formula 4 League, there is no damage on. You do lose a lot of time spinning off the track, but you will be able to get your car back going, not have to worry about pitting. And you just see nowhere to go.
Meyer getting a chalupa there that he didn't order coming down the corkscrew. And yeah, you're right. You're right, Kennen. If damage was on, both of those cars would be waiting for the flatbed right now. But this is a developmental league. It's all about seat time. They have damage off, which I think is a good policy and keeps these guys going. And Meyer, again now, after getting the chalupa he didn't want, runs for the border there and finds him driving out of the stand. So things going from bad to worse for Meyer, who qualified all the way up in P4, and after those couple of incidents now sits in P9.
Yeah, he's just carrying a little too much speed. The rear wing just isn't able to put so much downforce on the car to keep it straight, and the wheels just want to come from right under you. And these cars present a little bit of an issue when you send it in a little too fast, and we're now kind of back to seeing Conway sort of setting pace. Swanbeck has found some speed, though. He's only allowed about a 1 second gap so far. And as we know, and like we saw last week in Indianapolis, the race is really never over until the finish is taken, because you can spin out with a couple laps to go and watch the whole race change before your eyes as the leader. So we'll have to keep an eye. We're over halfway through the race. There's still a lot of time left.
Yeah, and Novice now has a new dance partner with Guyton there, and Guyton has got Novice down to about 3/10, and Guyton in that fantastic liveried 64 car. I love that thing as you see him trailing Novice here into the Andretti hairpin, both taking a pretty good line. Novice looks like he's running 124 fours. Looks like Guyton's running about a 10th off of him, but so far that is some of the action that's happening out on track. The leaders have kind of driven off, and we're going to take a look at Guyton now. Guyton's going to try the outside maybe of turn 5 here. My goodness, get something done there. Oh, I'm going to have to see that again. Novice must have washed out of turn 5 there, and Guyton is through as he continues to fight his way back up. Guyton, remember, qualified in P2, had a problem at the start, and is trying to fight his way back up, and is now sitting in P4 after that pass.
Yeah, I think Jose Novice maybe had a little front wing contact into the rear and kind of got himself a little out of place. Maybe an old school bump and run. We'll go back and look at it right now. You see Novice defending. He does kind of have the corner there. And then you just see maybe they touched a little wheel. It was very light if they did, but it was enough to allow Guyton on by.
Yeah, I think Novice just overcooked this entry a little bit, late getting on the power, and that allows Guyton right through. So pretty good move there by Guyton. So your top 5 currently is Conway from Swanbeck, from Chia, from Guyton, from Jose Novice. And Guyton now has a 3-second gap ahead to Chia. So he has got a ton of work to do if he's going to try to get back on the podium where he qualified. But the field sort of spreading out here. Conway's got about 2.5 seconds back to Swanbeck, then 5 back to Chia.
Yeah, we're certainly seeing the time in the field. Everybody sort of kind of found their place in the running order. I think for the moment we haven't seen too many mistakes like we did see at the beginning. See Ryan Chia getting through. I believe that was the wreck with Greg Meyer and Jose Novice that we had there going through the corkscrew. But he's actually put together a really nice race. Looking to get a podium here. He's well ahead of Guyton. We'll see if Guyton can maybe contest him for the final spot on the podium. But having a nice run today. That was looking pretty good so far. We're getting into the final quarter of the race. I think everything is kind of starting to settle down. We do have a little bit of a battle between Greg Meyer and Tyler Hagan. So we'll see what maybe becomes of that. But all in all, yeah, everybody's kind of spread out at this point in time.
Yeah, tip of the hat to Chia. Looking at the top 10, he is our hard charger in the top 10. He is up 5, he's moved up partially due to that crash that you saw in the corkscrew, but he's moved up from P8 all the way to the last step on the podium. So great drive by him. Also, Jason Trantham is up 5 from his qualifying, now sitting in P13. And taking a look at Meyer now and Hagen. And Meyer, this is just kind of turning forgettable for Meyer, although it looks like he's picked up 1. I think he was down 5 from his qualifying position initially in P9. It looks like he's managed to fight his way back up into P8. But Meyer, couple incidents, and Kennen, these short races, one off is brutal, and 2 offs can be fatal in these cars.
Yeah, and it seems like it is I feel like a broken record. We talk about it week after week after week, but this really is a series where winning races comes down to having the least mistakes. We do see the incident count there next to all the driver intervals, and Lloyd Conway by far and the only driver with only 1 incident so far through this race, and probably an 1X that he got between that little bandle with Dan Swanbeck. So we talk about it all the time. We watched it last week in Indianapolis. The leader, Joshua Leslie, lost the race by spinning out on the second to final corner of the race. So you've got to minimize mistakes. You're much better to run a slightly slower, consistent lap time than run a little over your head and have to face the consequences of spinning out. And that's kind of what we're seeing Greg Meyer have to go through in today's race.
Yeah, Meyer stalking Hagen here as they go under the bridge past the timing tower. He is going to take a breath here as Hagen covers the inside, but Meyer clearly with the pace and wants to get through here. Looks like Meyer has got about a half a second, maybe about 3/10 in terms of fastest lap on Hagen. So maybe a little gun shy, though. He's had a couple incidents, roasted those rear tires with a couple of spins, maybe wanting to take his time here. But time is ticking down, Kennen. About 3.5 minutes remaining in this one. So if Meyer is going to make something happen, he needs to make a plan, execute it, and needs to happen soon.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Maybe 3 or 4 laps, and you see a big wiggle there by Greg Meyer going through the kink, and now they go up the hill to the corkscrew. That was quite a little bit of a slide, so we'll see if he can get back up to him. And no!
There it is.
We see Tyler Hagen go around. Greg Meyer's going to get by him cleanly.
Yeah, Meyer's going to get the freebie there, and you saw that little wiggle going into turn 6, and that is being unsure about your turn in. He was a little tentative, turned in twice, and almost cost him. And here's Hagen over rotating there on the entry to the corkscrew. So easy to do.
Yeah, I think you could see just a little bit too much of the rear brakes. Just super scary for Greg Meyer when you see a car start spinning down the corkscrew, because you know you're going over a blind crest and don't always know where that car's going. And we'll see. Yeah, just the rear end locks down. I think maybe just a little too much brakes. The rear just kind of gave out on him before he even turned in.
Oof, and good camera work there by our producer, Marty. That one made my stomach turn a little bit, that hanging on the rear of that F4 car as it looped over the corkscrew. Holy cow. But we're getting down to crunch time here, and is Conway now catching lapped car? He may have found Nemo there in the back of the grid, but Conway currently rolling, Kennen, with a 5-second gap back to Swanbeck, who is enjoying a similar interval back to Chia. Meanwhile, Guyton sniffing around behind Chia, though. He's got that gap down to about 7/10, so potentially some drama brewing there. And that beautiful liveried 64 car may have a crack at the podium here, but Conway, looks like this is probably the penultimate lap here. So it's Conway from Swanbeck, from Chia, from Guyton, from Navis, and Chia under pressure.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I want to say this might be the next to last lap. They're probably coming to the white flag on the next time by. I don't see in my race control anything showing a white flag yet. But Guyton's gotten a good opportunity. I think this is also a race. Oh, and Ryan Chia gets loose. Guyton's going to take 3rd place on the podium. Let's see if Ryan Chia gets right back behind him. He's going to have to be aggressive to get it back before the end of the race.
Yeah, and you know, once you roast these tires, you kind of have to breathe them a little bit, or things can go from bad to worse. So after a spin is when you really want to go fast. But oftentimes the worst time. We're right in line with Guyton here. Oh, and a little bit of curb there. As Kennen and I told you, you just want to cuddle up and kiss those things. You don't want to do anything more than that. And you saw the result as Navis tossed off, or Chia there tossed off, takes a little right into the kitty litter there in towards the bleachers at turn 4. And here is the white flag. So yeah, penultimate lap last time, and here we go as Conway, and I'm not going to jinx him, but we all watched the Indy Road course race last week. So Lloyd, just take it easy. You got about 6.5 seconds behind, and all you got to do is get it all the way back around, and you have gotten a P1.
Yeah, Lloyd Conway has really established the dominance in the race. This has certainly been a race where we've got to put our hands up for Dan Swanbeck too. We hope he gets back around safely. He's certainly put together, I believe this will be his best finish of the entire season, and it's certainly a position he very much earned. He came right out of the box just punching and held up that lead, led for a few laps. Nobody was going to be able to hold off Lloyd Conway at some point during this race, but I believe that was the difference to get him to the front. You see Conway, he's certainly not giving up on putting down a bad lap time. He is still locked right in, sliding it down the corkscrew. So just a few couple corners away, and he'll make it home for a victory.
Yeah, Conway flogging it on that entry to the corkscrew for the last time. And here comes Lloyd Conway from the pole. Had some problems off of the start, but here he comes out of turn 11, down that pit straight. And it is going to be Lloyd Conway taking the win in the absence of Josh Leslie. And that is going to be his second win of the season, his second win of the season, and his 6th podium. He won, of course, previously at Mid-Ohio. So Conway really needed to take advantage of the absence of Leslie, and absolutely did. Dominant, although he may have gotten surprised a little bit there by Swanbeck, who put in a hell of a drive. May have some conversations with the stewards about that move into turn 2, but you know, no harm, no foul. I guess Conway gets the win, but it's going to be Conway from Swanbeck, from Guyton taking advantage of that error by Chia, then Chia and Navis, your top 5. So we'll have those final results for you in a minute. As you say, Conway heading up the hill. That is the excited wiggle that only a driver from the British Isles can do in that 77 car. So I think we're going to have Conway in for an interview later, so we'll get to chat with him about how his race went, and chat with him about what he thought when he saw that green number 7 car of Swanbeck next to him on the entry to the hairpin on the first lap. But we're gonna have those results for you in just a second. What a race here from the Monterey Peninsula. Laguna Seca never disappoints, and really some great stuff here tonight. And there are your results for round 7. It is Lloyd Conway winning by a mile, despite having a little bit of a kerfuffle at the beginning there, followed by Swanbeck. Some great defense, and not kidding about that, folks. Even if the guy behind you is faster, he's still got to make a pass, and it's okay to make him do it. And Swanbeck definitely did that. Guyton will take the final step on the podium. Chia had it in his grasp and just nicked that anti-cut curb in turn 4, and that dropped him down into P4. Then it's Jose Navas, Adam Duvall in P6, then Greg Meyer, Ken Glasser, Tyler Hagan, and Vase there in P10. And just took a quick peek at my notes. Then it's Michael Huynh, Jason Trantham in 12, Embriette Hyde in P13, Dan Clark in P14. And, you know, I flew right past Jason Trantham, your hard charger today, up 6 positions to get that P12. Then it's Cy Nathan in 15, Nemo Alcazar in 16, and Samudio looks like he did take the start. So Rudy Samudio in P17, and Cotcher not taking the start. So those are your results from Laguna Seca. I'm going to take a quick peek out in the green room here and see who we have got. And we'll go ahead and start with Adam Duvall. So, Adam, kind of out driving on your home turf today. You qualified P6, you finished P6. There was some action all around you, but you kept your nose clean and pretty good finish for you. So, how'd this race go for you?
Oh, it was pretty good. I think there was definitely I dropped the brake zone into 11 like towards the end and went into the kitty litter and I panicked and then just right away get back on the track, get back on the track. So I didn't lose any spots there and just yeah, man, that's so hard here. It seems so easy because it's only 11 corners, you know?
Yeah, it looks easy on paper until you're driving with a bunch of other guys that have thousands of laps out here, and you're looking for tenths and hundredths of a second. So, yeah, really good drive, Adam, and thanks for stopping by. Is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to here on the broadcast?
Oh, just everyone that makes these possible. They're so fun. It's the highlight of my week. So thank you everybody in our group. You guys are sick.
Awesome. Well, Adam, thanks again for stopping by and chatting with us, and we will see you next week, sir.
Later.
All righty. And Kennen, I will go ahead and drop for you Jacob Guyton, your P3.
Yeah, Jacob Guyton, our P3 finisher. We watched a really good battle between Jacob and Ryan Chia during the final couple laps of the race. How would you describe the finish there, Jacob? You were able to find yourself getting on the last step of the podium.
It was fun. Ryan is super fast. I was just trying to focus on my lines and hitting my points, and he ended up making a bit of a mistake and kind of gave me a little bit of a wave by, which I wasn't happy about, but I mean, I won't complain.
Yeah, I certainly can't complain about others' mistakes, and as we're seeing there you do make the pass for third place and gets a little wide on the gravel, which, as we all know, is not the place you're supposed to be. So thanks for coming out. Is there anybody you'd like to thank, give a shout-out to today for having such a great finish?
Yeah, as always, thank you for thanking my family and SRG and all the guys and gals that race with us and cheer each other on, and yeah, it's always a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. We know the Sim Racers group is just a huge family. Everybody seems to love everybody and really creates a fantastic racing league. So congratulations on the third place finish. I won't hold you up from the party on that, and we'll see you next week on Tuesday.
Thanks. See you Tuesday.
All right, that was Jacob Guyton, and let's go ahead and bring in your P2 finisher, Dan Swanbeck. So, Dan, you qualified P3. You were on the grid immediately behind the pole sitter, Lloyd Conway. Off the start, Conway, I think, believed he had the inside covered, but did he?
It sure didn't look like it to me. That's on track. You know, honestly, yeah, Lloyd and I had some fun, you know, racing together last week. We talked about it, had a good time. So I had an IOU in the Conway convenience store, so I cashed it in. You know, ultimately he was super fast. You know, congrats to Lloyd for his speed, but I just kind of knew if I don't, you know, force the issue now, like he's going to check out. So, you know, hopefully for anybody viewing, it was worth it, and hopefully he'll forgive me for the hip check.
You know what? It was awesome, and you're absolutely right. That was your one crack at him. There was a sliver of daylight, a small sliver, maybe not wide enough for a F4 car, but in any event, you stuck it in there and then put on some great defense and made him earn it. You got some great screen time. I know you're going to enjoy watching the broadcast later on tonight. So really great drive. Congrats on the P2. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Thanks. Yeah, you know, congrats to Lloyd again for such an awesome drive. And as always, you know, thanks to Jason Cotcher for putting on such an awesome clinic here for all of us to come out and, you know, race together. And obviously you guys do an awesome job broadcasting. You know, I got family who watch this, and they always talk about how engaged you guys are, how knowledgeable you are. So, you know, thanks for doing that. Lastly, just want to say thanks to my parents for always watching. And also want to shout out happy birthday to my sister, Stephanie.
All right, awesome. And thanks for the kind words. And I'll tell you, it is a labor of love to cover Sim Racers Group. You guys are a great group, both your F4 and your F3 tomorrow night. I love calling them. Everybody here at SMB is totally into it. So it's an absolute joy. Thank you so much for stopping by and chatting with us. And we'll see you next week.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
All right, and one more. It looks like Lloyd Conway has snuck his way into the green room. We'll have a brief chat with him. And Lloyd, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Swanbeck. So you're in P1. Swanbeck qualified third, lined up behind you on the grid, heading down the hill into turn 2 for the first time. You thought you had the inside covered. Swanbeck did not think you had the inside covered, stuffed it in there, and a little bit of contact. Obviously, you saved it and drove back to victory. But what was going through your mind when you saw that green car out of the corner of your eye heading into turn 2 for the first time?
I didn't really think much about it, to be honest. I realized that the car was still on the gray and black stuff and thought, okay, well, we're still here. Let's carry on. Let's see what we can make of this. But it was an ambitious move. I respect it. I think, I don't know, because in the moment I thought that I didn't leave a gap, but maybe it was easily interpreted that the door was left open, but then I'm turning in and cold tires. But I've seen much worse than officials this week, let me tell you that much. So other than that, Dan and I had a really good battle, very nice and respectful. I think it was just a racing incident.
Yeah, too right. And great defense by Dan. He made you work for it, and you ultimately drove away to the tune of about 8 seconds, getting that P1 and getting those valuable points without Leslie around to get in the way. So you did what you needed to do. Great drive today. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to?
Give a shout out to Stephen Case for being with me at my last in real life track day at Laguna Seca. I think learning this Laguna Seca really helped me with him, and I think that helped me get the win today. So appreciate you, Stephen, and also appreciate Jason for putting this on for us every week. I know that it is a lot of work, and we all appreciate it. So thank you.
All right. And thanks again, Lloyd, for coming by and chatting with us. Always great to hear from you, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, we are not just about this fantastic open wheel action here on SMB. Tomorrow night, we will stay with Sim Racers Group for week 7 of Formula 3 competition at Zandvoort. That is going to be fantastic. Those cars are going to be a riot out there. Then Saturday, Weekend Warriors Formula Vs will be at Long Beach, followed by Ron's Race Nights, which will see the iRacing officials top split action with Street Stalkers at the Lanier Circle, whatever that is, Lanier. Then on Sunday, we'll kick off a Weekend Warriors double feature. Spec Racer Fords will throw down at Sebring, and Formula Fords will battle the concrete walls of Long Beach. And 1 week from today, we'll be back here with F4s on my home turf, Portland International Raceway. Be sure you tune in for that. And I also want to mention special event coming up next month, a 3-hour endurance race featuring LMP3 and GT3 cars at Sebring with cash prizes. So keep an eye out for that. Please subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting. Hit that notification icon so that you do not miss any of the action. And my goodness, what a fantastic race here from Laguna Seca. I am J.R. Gregory. On behalf of myself, my partner, Kennen Miller, our producer, Marty Czekala, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are. And look at the bright side. At least it ain't Monday.